And hello everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be taking a look at uploading very large files to S3. You may have noticed that if you're trying to upload very large files or do mostly anything in JavaScript with S3 or AWS, a lot of the documentation and stuff is outdated, or if you're not really good with reading documentation, it's also very difficult to understand the new documentation. So in this case, I'm going to give you a very basic example of how to actually implement this into your website. Now, of course, if you want the code, you can find it on my GitHub. The link will be in the description. Other than that, you can follow along and watch as we implement this into our basic React app. Now, there are two things here to take note of. We have a client and a server. This API part here is part of the server. You don't have to worry about this server here. It's just an import, nothing to worry about. Now, the client part is, of course, just the UI. It's this part here. Welcome to Meteor. And in this, the reason it says welcome to Meteor is because this is a bare bones Meteor setup. I just said Meteor create. So there's not really anything added to this here. That's why it says that. And you don't need to use Meteor. You can use regular React. You can use Next.js. This is just going to give you an example that you can kind of use everywhere. I just like Meteor because it's simple to use. And then here on the server side, you have AWS, and we'll cover all of this in a second. Don't worry too much about it. All right, so let's take a look at the UI before we start with any implementations and whatnot. So first we have this file upload progress, and this will basically just tell us how far the file has been uploaded. So you can have a little progress bar that goes from 0 to 100% as an example, in case you might want something like that. It was so easy to implement, I decided to add it anyways, just in case you might want something like this. Then we have the actual result, and you don't have to worry too much about this. This result is just so we have a link to the actual file. Now on S3, for this tutorial's sake, I highly recommend you make your bucket and stuff public, so anyone can access the files inside of the bucket. You don't have to do that, but that will keep it pretty simple. If you do get any errors that says access denied, it's not a problem necessarily with your code. It might be related to AWS. So I recommend you make sure that your user, your IAM user, has all the necessary permissions as well as your S3 bucket. Anyhow, then we have our upload file. This is where most of the code will go. Then we have this title here. You can remove that if you don't want it. And here we have the progress bar. It's just some text. And here we have the file input, which when you click it, it adds the file, or it sends this file into this function, and we upload it. All right. Now we're first going to start with the implementation on the server side, because this is just some code we're going to have to type in. It's not going to be very important right now, and we just need the code there. So let's start from the top. Here we have our region and our bucket. These are just some examples. So US East 1 and Y2 tutorial. You should be able to find these inside of your AWS environments. Then here we have the access key and access secret key. These are in my Meteor.settings. This isn't something I want to show you or that you would want to show anyone, because if you do, they can have access to your AWS settings and whatnot. So you don't want to show this to anyone, and it's just in a settings.json file. Basically, this is like our .env file if you have .env. Otherwise, you can just create constants and hard code it in the code. Just don't commit that, so people don't know what that piece of text is. Then here we have an S3 client, and this S3 client just basically sets up S3 so we can use it later. And take note, we are using the AWS SDK with the client-s3. So if we take a look at our package.json, we have these two installed. We also have Lodash installed and Buffer, and Meteor node stubs is just because we have Meteor installed. So just Buffer, Lodash, and then these two AWS SDKs. All right, then here we create a multi-part upload. Now this multi-part upload, what this will do is it will initiate the upload for us. So it will tell AWS, hey, we are about to upload a multi-part file. So if you want to upload, let's say, a gigabyte file, by default AWS I think maxes out at 150 megabytes. So you cannot upload bigger than that. So you need to split up the file into multiple chunks and upload it. And with this method here, we're going to tell AWS that's what we're going to do. So then we can just say const multipart upload is equal to await s3.send new create multipart upload command, and then we pass in the bucket, which is AWS bucket, which we have specified up here, and then we have the key, which will be key, and this key is just going to be passed in here. This is the file key, so we know what file we're working with, because we're splitting one file into multiple files, so we need to make sure that these files are linked by the key. So this key is very important, but we're just passing it in here. Now, basically, you don't have to worry about this. This is like an API endpoint. So if you don't use Meteor, you can imagine this being an endpoint for your API. So this could be like /create /multipart/upload or something like that. It's basically just a post endpoint for your API, which is run with JavaScript. And then at the end, we just return multipart upload. So this will create, or this will initiate the upload for us. Then we have the upload part to S3, and this will allow us to upload individual parts to S3. So individual parts of the file. So you can just say new, or const res is equal to new. I don't know why I want to say new the whole time. Let's just say await s3.send new upload part command, and we want to pass in our details. So we can copy this part right here. So we need the bucket and the key. Then we also want to pass in the, there we go, like that, the upload ID, and we are passing it in here. So you just say upload ID. We also want to pass in the body, and this is the file, so file part. The reason we're calling it file part is because this might be 15 megabytes of the full gigabyte file. So it's only a part of the file, it's not the whole file. Because remember, AWS don't allow you to upload very large files in one go. So you need to split it up into multiple smaller chunks. And then finally, part number, iteration +1. So basically this part number here allows us to say, where does this fall in with the file? So let's say we upload the last part and then the first part in that order. Then AWS can use the part number to know, oh, we uploaded the last part first and the first part last. So it will swap them. And that's something we can use to make sure AWS knows in what order to compress the file back before sending it back to us. And then we can just say return res. Then finally, after we have uploaded all of our parts, so if we have uploaded the whole file, we can tell AWS, hey, we finished uploading it. You can stop with your connection. You can stop like trying to have a full part because we have finished the whole file. So you can just wrap up. So const res and return res. And in here with res, we can just say is equal to await AWS s3.send new complete multipart upload command. And in here we pass in again pretty much the same things as here. So we copy that. We always need the bucket, the key, and the upload ID. And then multipart upload. And now we specify parts. And this is the upload results. And basically the upload results, and I just specified any here just to keep it simple, but the upload results, all it is it's these, but in an array. So each part that we upload will return this res, and this upload results is all of the parts return values. So that's all this is. Then you just say .map, and they will have something called an e tag, and then I is for index. So let me just wrap that. So I is for index, and you can just return e tag as well as part number, which is I plus 1. There we go. So basically this will just say, hey, these are all the parts. There you go. We have finished the uploading. And in here, this is in case the upload fails. So in case everything just fails and you want to backtrack, what you do is we can just say const abort command is equal to, and you can also call this res, I don't know why I specifically call it abort command, is equal to new abort multi-part command. We specify the bucket, AWS bucket. Actually, we can just copy everything from here. So we copy that and we paste it there. And then we await s3.send abort command. Now you can of course save the return value, because you can of course just do this. This is perfectly fine. I just like to split it up. I don't know specifically why I split it up, but I did. I wrote this whole thing like at 1 AM, so if it's a little bit wonky, it's probably because I was tired. Okay, there we go. So the whole server side is done. So all it really does is it initiates the upload. It uploads all of the parts. It successfully completes the upload, or it fails the upload. Alright, now on the client side, we can start handling the upload file. So here we can go, and let me first explain these states here. So first we have the undefined, which if it's undefined, it means no file is currently being uploaded. If it is null, it means a file is currently being uploaded, but we don't have a progress bar yet, or a progress amount yet. And in string, this could also be an integer if you wanted to. String is basically the percentage that it has been completed. So here we can say set file upload progress to null, so something is currently being uploaded. Const key is equal to random, and we can just import random from Meteor/random. There we go. So we have random dot, and we can just add brackets, random.id. All random.id does it gives us a random value, a random string. So if you were to like create an item in MongoDB as an example, the underscore ID, it will be look something like this. So all this does, it gives a random value, but you could also make the key the file name if you want to, but it's recommended that each key in your bucket should be unique because it's their identifiers. And then at the end, I'm going to say dot, and here I'm just going to say underscore dot last file dot name dot split dot. So what we're doing here is we're taking the file name and we're getting the extension from the file name, and then we're appending it to the end of this key here. So when they download it with the original file extension. Now, depending on how you operate your AWS stuff, you might not even need this. But because I'm keeping it simple, I add it like this. Const multipart upload is equal to create, not equal to, but this will be the type of create multipart upload command output. And we can make that equal to await meteor.call, and why is Meteor not being imported? Meteor.call async. So we're going to do an asynchronous call to the API or to the server or to whatever. So all this does is it basically does a post request to the server. And then we can call this one right here, create multipart upload. So we're going to initiate the upload, and we're going to pass in the key. So we go here and we pass in the key, and we can just import that right there. All right. So we initiated the upload. Now we can say const upload ID is equal to multipart upload dot upload ID. So we are provided the upload ID to use, and this will allow us to make sure we're staying or we're keeping the uploaded to the specific upload ID, if that makes sense. And then we have const upload promises, and this right here is the value we'll be passing in here, the upload results. It's this value. So it is the accumulation of all of these. And that can just be an empty array. Then we have const part size is equal to 10 times 1024 times 1024. Because this is in bytes. Everything in AWS with this management is in bytes. So we're taking 10 here and we're adding this and this. So this is actually 10 megabytes. So all we're doing here is we're setting each file part to be at least 10 megabytes in size. Now note, you cannot make it any smaller than 5 megabytes. That is the limit set by S3. I recommend keeping this part size under 100 megabytes and above 5 megabytes. Note, the smaller this value, the more accurate the file upload progress will be, or the more regularly it will update. So just take note. But 10 megabytes is fine. You don't have to worry about like the last part that might be like 2 megabytes. That you don't have to worry about that. AWS will automatically figure out what to do there. Then we can say const total parts. And this is the total amount of parts we're going to split our file in, because we're going to split our file into multiple smaller parts, as we said. So if we have a file of 1 gigabyte in size, we want to split up that file to be about 20 parts. So it's going to split up that gigabyte file into 50 megabyte sizes. So 50 megabytes splits. That's the idea. So we can say math.ceiling and file.size divided by part size. And this will give us the amount of parts this file will be split into. The reason we want this is for the progress bar, so we know how far along we are. Then we can create a try and catch block. Now first I'm going to do the catch. So we can just say console.error error, and then if an upload ID has been provided, which it should, we can just say await Meteor.callAsync, and we want to abort the upload. So we want to, if it fails, we don't want to continue. We want to stop the uploading process. And we pass in the key and the upload ID as specified here. And there should be a comma. There we go. So now we have handled if it fails. Now we can handle for when it does not fail or when it's doing its job. So first we can say let part count is equal to 0. So this is the current part we are on. It's going to start at 0. Now we need a function that when we upload, we have the option to retry that upload. So to do that, we can create a function here called const execute and print. And that's an asynchronous function. And it takes in a couple of things. So it takes in a buffer, which is of type buffer, which we import from buffer. So import buffer from buffer. There we go. And then we have iteration, which is a number. So this is the current file we're on. So it's basically the part count. But we cannot trust this part count here because we're going to use a loop later, and you'll understand then why. And then we also want run count. So this is the amount of times this specific command has been executed. We want it to limit at 5. So if it can have 5 retry attempts to upload a file part. And if it fails, it's going to throw an error, and we want it to then stop the uploading. Now, of course, you don't have to create this inside of this try and accept, or even inside of this function right here. The only reason I'm doing it is for simplicity. We can then go const raise is equal to await meteor.callAsynchronous. And we want to start uploading each part. So there we go. We want to upload it. And this takes in a couple of parameters. We can just copy these. And we can go like this. So first we need to upload the key, the upload ID. The file part is the buffer. That's this part right here. That's the file part we're uploading. So we're uploading a buffer, and then we of course want the iteration. So all of these parts right here. Then we can set file upload progress to, and just ignore all, or not ignore, but just take note of all of these brackets. This is for math purposes. So then we have iteration plus 1, so it was the current iteration. And then we divide that by the total part. So take note of this, we want to divide after we add. Remember BODMAS, so we need brackets here. And then after this bracket right here, so after total parts, we want to say times 100, so we can get the percentage. And then dot to fixed 2. So this means we're going to get the percentage to the fixed value of 2 decimals. So for example, 5 or 15.88 as an example. The to fixed is optional. You could also use a math round here. I just wanted to use to fixed. Then we can return, so return res. Now you also need to take note here that this here could fail. And if it does fail, before it fails, we want to retry to upload it. So to do that, we can say try, and we can move all of this into this try catch. There we go. Now, in this scenario that this fails, we can check if run count is more than 5. So if it has retried this more than 5 times, then just console.error item iteration completely failed to upload, and then just, whoops, my bad, and then just return. In this case, you should actually throw an error because we want this to fail. But for our scenario case here, we're going to put a console log. But in reality, you should put a throw here. So like throw new Meteor.error, and just put your error in here. Then here we can say console.warn. An error has occurred. We're warning because it's not really an error, we're handling it, but we're notifying that, hey, something happened, but we're going to retry it. So const res, which is of type any, is equal to await, and we're going to call this again. This right here, we're going to call it again. So now we call itself, and we pass in the same buffer that we're passing in here. So buffer, we pass in the same iteration, and we just increase the run count by itself plus 1. And then we return res. All right, and that is the whole upload function we need. After that, we're going to create a loop. So do while true. Const start is equal to part count times part size. So this is where the file will start being snipped. So if part count is 0, it will start at index 0. And then const end is equal to start plus part size. So then the until where it will be snipped is then where we're starting plus the size of it. So in this case, 10 megabytes. The reason you don't want this to be too big is because if there's not enough memory, your program might struggle to process it. So just take note of that. You don't want this to be too big because, well, JavaScript isn't that fast, and it can use up a lot of memory on its own already. Now we're making it heavier by making this bigger. So the smaller this, the less memory it will also take. And then const file part. So this is the file, the part of the file we actually want to upload. Is file.slice and start to end. Then if file part dot size is less than 1, meaning there's nothing to upload, it's empty. We want to break out of this loop. Then we can say const array buffer is equal to await file part dot array buffer. So basically it's going to convert the file type to an array buffer. And then the array buffer So const buffer is equal to buffer.from array buffer. So we're converting the array buffer into a buffer so we can upload it. Const res is equal to await, execute, and print. We pass in the buffer and a part count. Then upload promises dot push res and then part count plus plus. So we're increasing the part count. All right, and this will do the uploading part for us. It's not really recommended to use await inside of a loop, but for simplicity's sake, just to show you how it works, this is what I'm using. But you can of course use something else than a loop. Then here we can say const res is equal to await meteor.call async. And now we want to say, hey, no error was caught. And this should still be inside of that try catch, my bad. If no error was caught, we want to tell it, hey, finish the upload. We are done. So here we have finished uploading the file. So we are done uploading it. We can pass in the key, the upload ID, and upload promises, which we pass in here. Set result to res, and in return res. So we have created the whole upload function. Now it is as simple as just running it. And if it works with a small file, I'm going to test it with a file that's really big and see if it works with that too. So let's go here. Alright, so here I have a folder with two videos. One small one of 40 megabytes and one of almost 800 megabytes. So here, let's just say choose file. We can go to downloads, upload exams, and let's choose the small one first to make sure it works. And here we have the file upload progress. It says it's starting the upload. We can also open up the console in case we need to check if something goes wrong. It has uploaded at 25%. Now it does start off a little late, but you can of course modify this as you see fit. Cool. After approximately like 10 seconds or something, it has finished the upload. Here, the click me, which is just the result.location. So it's the file link. We open that up. It will start downloading the file. You'll see it's the same size as this one right here, 40.6, 40.6. And if you play it, we'll see the same video. So here's the original. So it's just a tutorial of me teaching them. Now if we go to downloads where it downloaded it, take note the name changed. That's the key. It's the same video. Sound, everything. Okay, so I've confirmed that uploading this file works. Now, let's upload this very big one and make sure it works, because that's usually where it fails, is when we have files that are too big. So I'm going to say, let's just refresh, so we have a fresh canvas here. Choose file, and I'm going to upload a really big one. Now this is going to take a while, so for you, it will be like a second. For me, this would take about a year. So see you in a second. While we wait for that, we can actually take a look at the original video. So here, it's just me, a video that's about to come out, where we take a look at things in the BIOS of some laptops. But yeah, so it's just a video of that. I don't want to show too much. Don't want to show spoilers, but you know. So it's just a video about laptop BIOS. Alright. It has been about 200 years later, and it has finished uploading. Now if we click the link, it will start downloading the big file. I'm going to give it another 700 years, and then I'll be back. Alright, and it is done. Let's give it a watch. It is YGY. Let's find YGY. There we go. With sound and everything. Alright. And that gives us a basic example of how to upload very large files in smaller chunks to S3. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more programming tutorials, and I will see you all again in the next tutorial.